Y'all, welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast, where we give you our honest opinions on good entertainment. I'm your host, Kerri, and I'm again joined by my sweet friend, Nicole from the Swing My Heart podcast.
Hi again, Hearties.
We are so happy that Nicole offered to step in and help out while Morgan isn't able to for just a little bit. But in this episode, we're going to be recapping episode 5 of season 9 of When Calls the Heart. I think we both said this one's kind of our top favorite so far out of the season.
Yeah. Journey into Light.
Yeah. I feel like episode 4 kind of started for me kind of the more of the old feel of kind of what we fell in love with out of When Calls the Heart, and it felt more like that, and this one just kind of continued into that. I did think it was cute when at the very, very beginning of the episode when Rosemary sees Elizabeth and little Jack out there and they're playing and
says, "Hi, Aunt Rosemary."
Yes. He is so adorable. Cute. He's so cute. But I love when she was like, when Elizabeth asked her, she's going into work, and she was like, "The news never takes a day off." Oh, that would be perfect on our masthead, don't you think? Elizabeth was like, like, yeah.
Yeah. And then Nathan and Allie show up, and they start talking to Elizabeth and Rosemary, and Allie says, "Jack, you've gotten so big. Someday you'll be big enough to ride a horse all by yourself." With
that very meaningful look at Nathan. Oh, man. How did you feel about Nathan riding Sergeant? Like, did that seem odd at all to you? Or
I thought it was sweet of Elizabeth to offer or like let Nathan use Sergeant or ride Sergeant,
right?
Since Newton is still, going through the trauma of the accident.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know. That again, like there's certain things that to me just don't really completely make sense, and I think it's in episode 6 that'll be coming up that Nathan kind of admits that he's scared to ride Newton again, but it just kind of like almost like he's got some trauma there from that, but it just doesn't really make sense to me that he's acting like he's scared to ride, and yet he'll ride Sergeant with no problem. Like, I don't know if it's just something to do with Newton or
I don't know. I think there's a conversation that comes up about Newton in maybe this episode or the one before. I could be wrong. I can't remember what it was about, but I think there was something about how. Oh, okay, I remember. It was. I don't know if it was in this one or episode 6, but there was mention of how like Newton could feel Nathan like be nervous. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
Newton is very intuitive to
Mhm.
what is going on with Nathan.
Right. Yeah. The conversation I'm remembering, I'm pretty sure it's from episode 6, but where Nathan is talking about an accident he had as a kid and
That's
riding
what
a horse.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. And it almost made him sound like he was just kind of scared to ride, period, like scared to get on another horse, period. And yet he's riding Sergeant in episode 5 with no problems and like racing and whatever. So I'm like, I don't know. It just didn't fully make sense to me. But again, I need to go back and rewatch episode 6.
I also loved when Nathan and Allie left to go to the soda fountain, and Elizabeth and little Jack start playing pirates. That was adorable.
Yes. That was really fun. They had to have fun working with him. He was just so cute. Now to kind of tie into episode 4, which I mean all of them tie together, but the man who hit Nathan with his car is taken to the Granville Penitentiary
All that.
to await trial.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that Bill kind of pointed out that he might not ever go to trial, like that it might not ever make it there because he has the right to defend himself and say it was an accident, but I don't know. I mean, there are fine points of the law that don't always work to the advantage of the injured. Like, I don't know.
I did kind of love how the mention of the Granville Penitentiary was a callback to like earlier seasons, because we've heard that name before.
Yeah. This is like later in the episode, but this just kind of flashed in my mind of when Nathan and May are talking, and he's talking about how Allie is becoming more and more like his sister Colleen, and it was like, she was like, does she remember her mother? And he was like, no, not just a little bit, but she's really curious, so she wants to talk about her all the time. And she was, what about Allie's father? And he was like, I never want to talk about him. Like, I loved that.
Yeah.
Again, that is completely out of order of the episode, but that just kind of flashed through my mind for some reason, and I loved it.
He saved the stash.
Yes, finally. Thank you, Allie.
Also, okay. Also, suspenders unbuttoned. No, I'm talking about like with him.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. I love it when she's like, Fiona should be back any minute. Should I call Constable Grant? Like, not even realizing it's Nathan. He's like, well, you can, but by the time he gets there, I don't think he'll recognize.
No, when I said suspenders unbuttoned, I was just like quoting the whole thing with like Nathan and suspenders unbuttoned,
Yeah.
The no red surge look is what I meant.
Yeah. You want to kind of take over for a minute and
sure.
Your favorite scenes?
Let's see. Well, we get a scene with let's see. The scene with Nathan and Bill seeing Lucas and Wyman, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. You saying that, and then the conversation, like Nathan starts becoming so suspicious.
And then he like in the second scene, he sees Lucas out the window, and then Lucas just like waves to him.
Like, what's up, man? When Morgan and I were first talking about this, she was like, we need to call this episode "We're Starting a Fan Club." Because
wasn't it one of them that said something? Oh yes, it was was it Nathan?
Yes. Yeah, because he was like, hey Lucas, do you mind if I ask you, like, what's up with you and Wyman Walden? And he was like,
why do you ask? or something.
Not if you don't. Let's see. I didn't write down Nathan's first
Not
question.
if you don't mind getting an answer, I think is what he said.
Yeah, he said, not if you don't mind not getting an answer. And
Yeah.
Nathan says, okay, here's an easy one. Did I see you on Lee Coulter's motorcycle? Why are you so curious about me all of a sudden? I'm starting a fan club. Like,
Oh.
I love that the guy behind the counter starts like getting tickled, and then both of them start getting tickled. I would love to know what like transpired from there, because when Lucas was like, there was a lot of yelling and whatever else, and I don't really know who challenged who to this race. Like,
Maybe it'll be a deleted scene on season 9 DVD.
Maybe, who knows? When Allie first met May,
I was about to mention that.
Yeah, go for it.
So at first it's just May and Allie, and I believe May is showing Allie hair clips.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nathan walks in and he says to May, "Did she tell you how slow we rode?" And Allie says, "I didn't say a word, but we did ride awfully slow."
Mm-hmm.
And then May says, "Well, maybe you and I can go riding sometime. I race like the wind."
Yep. Yep.
A little wink.
Yes.
That was cute.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Faith comes in and sees Allie, and they give each other a hug because, they hadn't seen each other in a while, which I think was sweet. And then Faith and May go off to do something, I think put a prescription in the back and, and store it or whatever. And when May walks away, Allie looks at Nathan and she kind of like swats him on the arm like, "Oh my gosh, she is so beautiful." And Nathan's like, "You think so?" And Allie's like, "Uh-huh." And Nathan's like, "I haven't noticed." And then Allie's like, "You're just like someone else I know." The man
is working. Like, it is so simple, but it was hilarious. I think it's partially cute too, because Nathan is referring to Robert, who in some ways is still a kid. I mean, he's graduated school, but in a lot of ways he's still a kid. So for him to say the man is working, like calling Robert a man, I think is part of what was cute about that to me.
I also, now, I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way, and I did think that the moment was sweet when Faith came in and gave Allie a hug, but it seems like they were more close than they used to be. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I thought it came out of nowhere. I mean, like, Faith's always friendly with everybody, and Allie the same way. So I mean, I just don't really remember seeing anything that would quote unquote justify them being that close.
I mean, maybe they're just trying to give Allie like female.
Well, Allie's getting a little bit
models, older. Maybe.
Yeah, I think with Allie getting a little bit older, because I mean, she would be, I don't know exactly how old she is at this point, but she would be probably a high schooler per se. So I mean, she would be like in her later years of school. So she's kind of on that cusp of still being a kid and yet being a young woman. And I think it's cute that they're giving her adult female friends that are kind of treating her as an equal, and yet a little like they're treating her as a young woman. Yeah. Like they're not treating her as a kid. They're kind of like welcoming her into their little girl squad. Like when they had their little girls night and they were doing the like doing their hair and whatever, and they were like, sorry Fiona couldn't join us. So I mean, Fiona would have been there too. So I like that they're giving her that element, but at the same time it just kind of feels like it came out of nowhere.
What was I gonna say? I don't know. Whatever.
Even last episode though of when Henry, in episode 4, when Henry came into the infirmary for his checkup and he met May, and he was like, oh yeah, like mentions seeing her at the saloon with Nathan, that Faith almost sends Henry back by himself, like she was going to talk to May about that, and she's like, oh, what am I doing, just come on, I'll take your blood pressure. So it's like Faith has become very protective of them.
Yeah.
Which I almost wonder if that's not more to do with May than it is necessarily Nathan and Allie.
Yeah.
Simply because she knows May, but she also kind of has her suspicions about May.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if it's more from that angle.
Yeah. That could be what it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, you can cut this part out if you want, but I need to go close my door a little more because it's
Oh, you're fine. I don't edit anything out, but it's okay. Oh, man. So Rosemary, there's a scene between Rosemary and Elizabeth where Rosemary is kind of upset by the all the personal notices on the board there, and Elizabeth's like, okay, this morning before you left, before Allie and Nathan rode up, you were starting to say something to me, what's going on. And that Rosemary kind of confides in her that she is worried about Lee being tired of her. And I love when she's like, I'm fascinating. I am
delightful.
She was delightful, is that what you said?
Yeah. I can be endlessly entertaining.
Yeah. She's very humble. I love when she's like, now hear me out. Like, okay, I know you think I'm like.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then when Lee walks up and Rosemary's like, well, you were up and out early, and he was like, oh, nothing like a good brisk walk. And Rosemary like jabs Elizabeth, like asking where he went. And he's like, oh, here and there and everywhere.
That's I think that's a reference to Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just me, but like I get that he's trying to surprise Rosemary with this, but why didn't he just say he walked to the mill? Like that doesn't seem like that should be suspicious to me, because he owns the sawmill, so that doesn't seem like that should have been a problem for him to have said he went to the mill that morning. And he could have told her he just went there to just check on how things were going. Like he could have brushed it off like that rather than just not telling her at all where he went. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what did you think of Minnie speaking French to Gustave? Like, were you expecting that, or did you?
No, I wasn't expecting it, but I thought it was a little.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still can't get over the fact that Lucas and Gustave are supposed to be cousins. Like, where the heck did that come
from? Let's see.
And of course, she gives Mr. Landis that muffin. Like, I love how she keeps trying to be the bigger.
Yeah.
Not the bigger person, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah, that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Bill helping Hickam with the tie in the saloon. That was hilarious.
Yes. I love how Mike's just like, oh, like he starts jerking the tie off. Nobody wears bow ties anymore. Well, I do. My note on that was Bill gives Mike mayor lessons.
Yes.
I had wording it.
Yeah. Elizabeth and Lucas's first conversation about the motorcycle. This was a cute scene. She walks up and he says, please excuse the way I look. And Elizabeth says, oh no, I like it. You look very rugged. Oh, I don't normally? Be quiet and give me a kiss.
Yeah. Good way to get out of answering that one.
Robert interrupts.
Yes. Oops.
Oops. I put in my notes. Let's see, where is it? First Cody, now Robert.
Yeah.
Because we saw multiple times where Cody would interrupt Jack and Elizabeth.
Yes.
For example,
in the jail when he brings her the
vase.
Yes.
The new vase.
Yes. I miss Jack and Cody's relationship. They had a sweet relationship.
Yeah. And Cody's just like
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, the scene with Lee and Rosemary in their office when they're talking about the Valley Voice, and then Rosemary gets a call, and then she hangs up, and Lee says, "Sweetheart, who is that?" My confidential source. Ah, right. Confidential source. You never did tell me their name. Then they wouldn't be confidential.
Yeah. But of course, that is just adding to the element of both of them like suspecting something going on with the other one. But I loved the fact that he thanked her for making him the managing editor.
Yes, that was sweet.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about that scene with Lee and Florence in the mercantile?
Yes.
He's trying to get Florence to tell the name of the confidential source, and Florence says the name is None of Your Beeswax.
Yeah. What I thought was funny was the fact that she made him like cross his heart and stuff like that he wouldn't tell who it was before she did that. Yeah. The finger. Yeah. Come here. You can even whisper it.
I thought the camera shot with that was awesome.
It was excellent. Yeah.
It was really like zoomed right in on Lee's face.
Yes. Yes. Now, how do you think this was again just kind of something that I don't really understand. How do you think Allie found out about Nathan's accident? Because she was very upset.
We were wondering
that. We rode all the way back, and you did not say one
word about you and Newton being hit by a car.
Yeah. But how do you think she found out about that? Like,
we were wondering that too. Possibly May. Maybe May told her when Allie was in the soda fountain and they were looking at hair clips. Maybe like she had told her before that, before Nathan walked in.
I would think she would have been more upset at Nathan when he walked in if that were the case, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Nathan told her. I'm not sure.
Or maybe she might have heard it from one of the kids or something. She might have heard it from Robert or something. I don't know. Well, probably not Robert, because she makes the comment that he barely even said hello to her when she got back. But, yeah.
Maybe Angela?
Maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting point there. Like, how did Allie find out about that?
Her line, would you maybe consider shaving?
Yeah. You don't like my mustache?
It hides your smile.
Yeah. Oh man. And then when she calls Nathan dad, like that is a scene we have all been waiting for a while.
Yes. I don't know, Dad. He barely even one word when we got back from Rock Creek or something like that.
Yeah. And then he's like, she's like, what? And he's like, I thought you just called me Dad. Is that okay? Yeah, that's way better than okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was such a sweet scene between the two of them. Like, I will say the one thing that kind of quote unquote bugged me was, and again, this is my director side, I guess, coming out. But when Allie laid her head on Nathan's shoulder after that conversation, he didn't just wrap his arm around her. Like, he left his arm up on the back of the swing.
Yeah.
instead of putting his arm around her. Now, I think in the farther away shot, he had her in more of a hug, but in the up close shot, he didn't do that. And I was like he wouldn't have,
Yeah. I didn't even notice that.
like I said, that was just kind of my director side in me coming out going, you should have done this. Like any normal person would have.
I love the scene with Joseph and Minnie at the cafe when she tells him that she is planning on inviting Mr. Landis over for dinner. And she's saying how, she doesn't know if it'll help. This line is probably one of the best in the episode. She says, I'm hoping to find a way to sit across the table from a man I do not like at all and change his heart and mine. This dinner is as much about Mr. Landis as it is about me. Try not to be disappointed. And then, Joseph says something like, that couldn't be farther from what I'm feeling about you right now, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Really sweet.
Yeah. I loved that scene too. It was so precious. And then when Elizabeth and Mr. Landis walk out of the school and they're talking, you can tell they have talked things out. They're working things out. They're trying to work together. He's going to try to get her certification accepted, even though it's not theirs. He's like, they're working together. And then Minnie shows up and invite my family and I would like to have you over for dinner. And Elizabeth's like, you would? Landis looks at her and kind of looks awkward. And she's like, wonderful. Her initial reaction is like, you would? Like, really? You kidding me?
Oh my goodness.
The next scene was one we've already talked about. The maid didn't recognize Nathan without his mustache.
Yeah.
And he finally got a hat that fit him.
Yeah. Fiona returning to Hope Valley. The first thing I wrote with that scene is, looks a lot like the way Elizabeth arrived in Hope Valley, but in the wagon.
Yeah. Even Gowan has, in a way, like Bill is the major father figure in town, but Gowan, in a way, has his moments of being kind of a father figure to certain people, especially Fiona.
It was sweet when he wakes her up and he offers to take her bag. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Also, when she says that they need to talk, but Henry says later because of the storm coming and he wants her to get home safely. I wrote foreshadowing again with the storm talk.
Yeah. Also, when Bill told Mike to be unreasonable once in a while, or else people think that he's going to be trying to pull a fast one if he's just nice to people all the time. And he was like, I don't know how to pull a fast one. Like, it was just the most innocent, sweet, simple-minded, like.
Yeah.
I love him so much. And Bill almost looks like, I got my work cut out for me with this kid.
Oh goodness. Let's see. Oh, Rosemary in the office when she finds the poem. And the poem is, you to the garden and I to the hills, and though never the twains shall meet, you and I will remain side by side, tete-a-tete, forever, my sweet.
That was such a cute little poem, but I loved when she talked to Elizabeth about that. I kind of, again, it kind of struck me as funny, which I know, what is it they said, that time is fluid in Hope Valley or something like that. But when she says that Lee used to write her poems all the time, but he hasn't in years and years, and I was thinking, y'all been married for 3 years. How, like, you're making it sound like y'all been married for 15 years and he hasn't done this in years and years. Y'all been married for like 3 or 4 years. Like,
yeah, let's see. Well, they got married end of season 3.
I thought it was season 4.
No, I think it was the season 3 finale, because remember Jack had gotten pneumonia. And then, like, I guess a couple weeks after he recovered from pneumonia, they had the wedding.
So there was a whole season between them and Jack and Elizabeth getting married? Because Jack and Elizabeth were in season 5. I didn't remember. I'm saying I need to go back and rewatch the
Yeah.
seasons, but
So.
it was either season 3 or season 4, one or the other.
Yeah, because remember Charlotte was at the wedding. And we didn't see Charlotte in season 4.
That's true.
And she was in the last 2 episodes of season 3. Because
That's weird that there would be so much time between.
Yeah.
Especially since I've watched this early seasons. Can y'all tell? But I also had a bit going on.
So 6 years.
Yeah. So a little longer than I was remembering.
Seasons.
Yeah. Which would be
who knows how many years.
This is true.
In Hope Valley time.
This is true. Oh, and then we talked about Nathan questioning Lucas about Wyman Walden, and then the I'm starting a fan club thing. Like, why are you asking so many questions about me? And then like going in order of scenes, the same again we mentioned Faith, May, and Allie having their little girls' night, pampering themselves and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought they gave Allie really good advice.
Yeah.
With Robert. I thought that was sweet.
Just getting off topic for a second, because we were talking about Elizabeth and Rosemary's conversation. I wanted to mention that I loved Elizabeth's line to Rosemary when she says, yes, we are all vulnerable. And this was in reference to, being vulnerable to an innocent flirtation. She says, yes, we are all vulnerable, but love, and in your case, true love, it never strays, not even in the heart.
Yeah. I loved that Elizabeth told Rosemary, you need to talk to Lee. And that Rosemary was like, I just don't want him to know I'm feeling this way, But I mean, that's realistic. You don't want somebody to, like, you don't want to just come right out and tell somebody they're making you feel like they don't want you anymore. Like, not until you know what's actually going on, because then that could cause more trouble. Whatever. Would you have ever guessed that Mr. Landis was a music teacher? I love when he said that he was the teacher, and Cooper's like, wait, what? Like,
also, before he got there, Cooper says, Angela and I don't like him. And Minnie says, and that's why we're having him over. And then, Joseph wasn't home at that point. He was out looking for Mr. Landis. And Joseph comes back in. He's sopping wet from the pouring rain. And Joseph says that, he can't find Mr. Landis anywhere. And Cooper says, hot dog, he's not coming. I said, Cooper! All caps with 3 exclamation points.
I mean, I can't say I blame him, but I mean,
not helping.
No. And then the fact that Mr. Landis knocks on the door right after he says that, like, hope he didn't hear that. What do you think? Like, obviously they're sitting there, they're having the conversation and stuff, and it comes out that he's a music teacher, or he was a music teacher. And when Angela goes over to play the piano, Cooper looks like so proud of her. And then when Mr. Landis goes over to help her, he like gets this attitude towards him.
Yeah, I think he started to put up and like.
Yeah, do you think that was because he was wanting kind of to show Mr. Landis, we are good enough or whatever, and then Mr. Landis is going like correcting her and making him feel like he still doesn't think they're good enough or whatever? Like,
I could see that a little bit, maybe, but I don't know for sure.
I mean, he just got his attitude, like the way he just sat back and like just, he had a complete attitude about it.
Yeah.
And then even when Minnie was like, whenever you're ready, and Cooper's like, yeah, let's start. Like, almost like he couldn't wait to stop Mr. Landis playing piano.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't want him doing that. Like, I'm not quite sure what Cooper's attitude was there.
I'm not sure. Yeah. That scene though, when Angela and Mr. Landis are playing the piano together. That's one of my favorites of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And probably the season.
Yeah. I just realized, like, when I was making notes, I had started like just abbreviating names with letters like L and E or whatever, instead of writing out Lucas and Elizabeth. And I just realized I accidentally said that Lucas and Nathan had dinner and discussed the race coming up. I wrote an N instead of an E, so let's get that straight, shall we?
Yes.
But when Elizabeth, what did you think of Elizabeth kind of assuming that the race was a competition about her, or like
I loved that scene. That scene was hilarious.
It was. It really was.
Dueling pistols at dawn.
Oh man, I love it when she's like just giving him up and down the road. Like, you've read, all this about the Lewis and Clark expedition. You this, you that.
I have it written down.
Yeah. And then he's just looking at her and she's like, what? And he's like, are you coming to the race? Like, that is such a guy girl conversation. And then she whacks him with a pillow.
Yeah, she's like, you can be so frustrating sometimes. You are very, very.
But the fact that she's trying not to laugh and he's getting tickled and grabs a pillow defending himself because she's whacking him.
Oh my goodness.
They've had some really cute moments, so that was one of my favorites with them.
Oh
man. And then of course I loved when Angela, like, Mr. Landis was teaching her how to play this piece better, and then when she kind of taught him, just let go, just do whatever your fingers want to do. Like,
don't hold me back, Mr. Landis, I think is what she said.
Yeah. And then she told him, like, just join in, just do whatever let your fingers do whatever they want to do. When he kind of let go and just started playing it, and realized it could be just fun and not have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I love that as well.
Let's see. Oh, when Elizabeth goes up to Minnie at the cafe, and Elizabeth is asking her about how the dinner went, and Minnie says it was wonderful, and Elizabeth says, Minnie, I'm so sorry. And Minnie says, no, Elizabeth, it was wonderful. And then she kind of looks at her like, okay.
Yeah. Would you have ever guessed him to have been a music teacher? Never, ever. And then you call him by his first name?
Augustus.
Yeah. The fact that the whole town turns out for the race, and she was like, I thought this race was between you and Lucas. And he was like, well, there were a few people around making wagers.
Yes. Oh, the start of the race when Hickam drops the cloth. That was hilarious.
Yes. I wrote that down, but also that Lee asked Rosemary to come home early that night.
Yeah.
They had that conversation, but then Hickam, I guess, like, as the mayor, is officiating the race, and he says, gentlemen, I'd like to go over the rules. And he dropped his handkerchief and they took off, and he was like, spirited start.
Also, did you notice the background music in that moment, like at the start of the race? If I'm correct, I think that might have possibly been the same music they used for the coal miners games in season 1.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
With I think it was in the scene with the egg toss and the tug of war.
Tug of war, yeah. That would make sense.
With Billy and Jack.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That would make total sense. But
Caleb cheering for let's see, who was it? I think it was Caleb was cheering for Billy Hamilton's team.
Yeah. Oh shoot, what was the when Elizabeth was asking Lucas, like, how many laps are y'all doing, whatever, And she's
5.
like, that's a long way. And Sergeant is very fast. And he was like, you sure you're going to be cheering for me?
Yeah. That was funny.
And then, of course, Fiona tells Fate that she closed the oil deal and how proud she was of that, how good that felt to be able to do that. And of course, that was selling Lucas's shares of the oil company to Jerome Smith and his investors. And she talks Fate into trying a new hairstyle.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Joseph thanking Minnie for helping with Landis the way that she did and kind of opening his eyes to things.
I love how Elizabeth, asks May if she wants to go get ice cream. I think that those two are going to be friends.
I hope so. I think it would be really cute. Like, just if Nathan and May get together, I think it would be really cute to see Nathan and May and Elizabeth and Lucas like having a little foursome.
Double date.
Yeah, double dates. I think that would be really cute.
Yeah. Let's see.
And you could almost picture times of the guys like getting into it like they are now with the race, of it almost being a childish, like boyish thing. And you could almost see Elizabeth and May looking at each other and just getting up from the table and walking off and going and doing their own thing. Like, let them argue.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Elizabeth and Mr. Landis's conversation outside the soda fountain. So Mr. Landis is considering returning to teaching music. I think
that was sweet.
Yeah, I think we may have underestimated him a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was sweet that Mr. Gowan gave the kids money for ice cream.
Yes, I love that.
That was so cute.
And after that, he gets a telegram from Ned. He's not too happy about that.
Oh, and then of course we cannot forget that Gustav picked up a crate of peaches from the mercantile, because those peaches are going to come back up in episode 6.
Yes.
They are a pretty predominant storyline for Ned there.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Also, just skipping back to the race for a second, Nathan wins the race, and I think Allie said, what was it? Nobody bets against my dad or something.
Something like that. But I love when Lucas's motorcycle breaks down and Nathan's just sitting there like, maybe you need to put some gas in it. He was like, I just filled the tank this morning. Just trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
Around back to town.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Also,
right. I'll see you later then.
Yeah. Also, I can't go by without mentioning the mention of Jack when Nathan is wanting to know who taught Sergeant how to bow, and Elizabeth says Jack, and then she starts talking to Sergeant. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that was a really, really sweet moment.
Yeah.
My next note was Gowan confronts Fiona about closing the deal. She confronts him about his attitude. Was how I worded that.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I think we talked about this last episode, though, of how he wasn't communicating. He was like, we were supposed to be hanging out in front. I was trying to stall. And she's like, well, you sure? Go ahead. Yeah,
you have a lousy way of showing that. You disappeared for weeks, then roared back in here and got yourself thrown in jail for assault.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what have I done?
Yeah. I love Fiona. She is so awesome. Yeah. That storyline, I'm curious to see where all that goes.
Yeah. Bill saw Hickam talking to Walden, and then Hickam walks in Bill's office, and Bill tells him that it doesn't look good for him or Lucas to be talking to Wyman. And Bill says Walden's a snake, and if you mess with him, you're going to get bitten.
Mm-hmm. I loved how he I think this was where I saw a lot of Bill's father figure coming out with Mike, of the fact that he literally just chewed him out right there, and poor Mike, like his face. And then when Bill says, I know this isn't easy for you, but you're going to start taking heat for all sorts of reasons, and you may even lose some friends. Just know that I'm here for you. Like he chews him out, and then is like, hey man, like, look, I know this isn't easy. Like, this is for your own good, but just know, basically, I'm chewing you out, but I've got your back. Like, I've got your back. I'm chewing you out because I've got your back.
Yeah. The next scene is Lee and Rosemary at home. Okay, so first, Rosemary gets there and Lee tells her that they need to make more time for them as a couple outside of work. Rosemary says, you're not tired of us spending time together? And Lee says, no. Are you kidding me? No, wait, why? Are you? Rosemary's like, no, not for a moment. And then Lee tells Rosemary that Joseph has been teaching him a trick or two with the woodworking kit from Rosemary. And that's where he's been disappearing on his walks. Okay, we talked about this on our podcast, but did that look like a cradle for a second before he uncovered it?
I don't really. I can see where you would think that. Yeah, I tried to go back to that moment in my mind. All I really remember thinking about it was I was surprised she didn't bust him out over getting her bed sheet or table cover or whatever that was dirty. That was the only thought that went through my head when I saw that. But now that you're saying that, I can see where you would think that. Yeah.
I said jumping the gun, Lee. And that was before he actually uncovered it.
Yeah.
Maybe foreshadowing. Hint.
Yeah. I would love to see them as parents, even just adoptive parents, but I would love to see them as parents.
Yeah, there is, I think episode 12's plot has already been released. Or I don't know. I saw it somewhere on Twitter, but I think it was released, but I don't know for sure. But the title of it is called Rockabye Baby, I think.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Anyway.
And then of course Lee quotes that poem for her. And she's like, you wrote it for me. And he's like, of course.
That was one of my
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
I was almost surprised that he didn't say, like, who else would I have written it for? But
yeah, that was probably in my top 2 favorite scenes of this episode.
Yeah.
The facing chairs. That was
And then of course the final scene where Elizabeth is waiting for Lucas, and she greets him with water with lemon. And when she tells him, I have to admit, if you had been more than just a few more minutes, I would have had to have gone home because Jack's with a sitter and I have responsibilities and whatever. And he starts talking about when his mother was there, that she had commented that he had never stayed in one place for that long, that he was an adventurer. And of course, that was one thing that Elizabeth had brought up right before she whacked him with a pillow, was kind of how adventurous he was. She's like, you just bought a motorcycle, for crying out loud, And when he tells Elizabeth, you are the reason I stayed. You are my adventure. You are my passion. And that was just such a sweet
moment
between them.
Yeah. And if we could marry, I will hurry home to you every night, and I will have to pull myself from you every morning. That I promise.
Mm-hmm.
And should we marry, I would hurry home to you every night and have to pull myself away from you every morning. That I promise.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded like vows in my
It did. Like, seriously, that was more of not even engagement vows per se. It was almost like, okay, you know, like when you give somebody, or not when you, but when a guy gives a girl a promise ring, it's like not quite an engagement yet, but this is where we're headed.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I felt like that was. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I fully expect them to be engaged at the end of this season. I will be shocked if they're not. But I don't know. We'll see.
Especially with that title I just mentioned.
Yeah. So,
and
of course, now Elizabeth did tell Rosemary to slow her trip down the aisle.
Sometimes an engagement ring is called a rock.
That's true. That is true.
In the baby part, Lee and Rosemary.
We'll have to see what happens. I don't know.
I haven't seen that scene with Elizabeth hugging Rosemary as she's like crying. That we saw from like one of the first promos.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we have seen like in the promos of Lucas with some kind of jewelry box, like whatever exactly it is. So we do know there's something going on there. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I thought that second kiss was really sweet. You know, before the episode ended.
Yeah. I mean, what's your opinion here? My personal opinion, and like, I know a lot of people didn't want to watch season 9. I know me and Morgan like struggled with a lot of PTSD for a while from the season 8 finale and stuff, but we've really enjoyed season 9. And I think, I'm not going to speak for Morgan, but I think she feels the same way that I do. I hope we get a season 10.
I hope so.
Yeah. What would you want to see, like, just from what you've seen so far of season 9, what would you want to see in the next season?
Like with everyone, or like the main, well, I guess a wedding with Elizabeth and Lucas, because we all know they took forever to marry Jack and Elizabeth.
Well, I mean, if you think about it,
I'm not going to get on a soapbox.
Well, I mean, like, if you think about it, they Jack and Elizabeth met in season 1, obviously got married in season 5.
Yeah.
And then Lucas and Elizabeth met in season 6, 7, 8, 9. If they got married in season 10, that's still 5 seasons. Like, it doesn't necessarily seem that long because they haven't been together that whole time.
Yeah.
But it would still be 5 seasons. It
would still be 5 seasons, but just, I guess, not as long because they haven't been together since season.
Well, like season 6, she wasn't really with anybody.
No.
So
yeah. But they did take too long to marry Jack and Elizabeth. I will say that.
Way too long.
Of course, Lee and Rosemary becoming parents. I think everyone wants that. Whether it be adopting or like biological, I think it would be sweet either way, or maybe both.
I think it would be really cute because it's almost like, I mean, they've never 100% said this that I can remember, but it's almost like they're dealing with infertility issues or something. And so it's almost like they're not able to have kids. Something has been said this season. I don't remember exactly what got said. And I think this was episode 6. That something got said about it when she basically tells Lee, like, you would have been a wonderful father, you know, because it's with Robert and them, like with the mess at the soda fountain.
Or was that? No, I think she said that in episode One second. I have it in my notes somewhere. I'm gonna go find it.
Yeah.
I
know they had a conversation about kids in episode 6 because of the ice cream fight at the soda fountain.
Yes, they did, because she mentioned sticky children, but that's not what I was.
Yeah.
About.
But I've thought, while you're looking for that, I want to finish my thought. But that I thought it would be really cute and kind of true to life if they adopted, and then right after they adopted, she found out she was pregnant. Like that would be pretty much how life would go.
That was what I was about to say. Okay, I think, let's see. I know it's here somewhere. I know I wrote it down. It was in episode 2.
Oh, okay.
It was at the end of episode 2 because they were going to church. Yeah, when Lee and Rosemary are walking to the church, along with everyone else, Lee says, "You're so good with kids. You would have made a great mother." Rosemary says, "And you a father." And then Lee says, "I'm just so happy that we have each other."
Mm-hmm. Which again kind of leads you to believe that they're not able to have kids, like that they've been trying and aren't able to have kids for whatever reason.
And sometimes, I'm not a parent. I've never been in a relationship. Yeah. But I've heard that sometimes when you're in a situation like that and you think that you're not able to have kids, that's when.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty much when you stop trying is pretty much what I've heard from people. Like when you stop expecting that's when it'll happen. Yeah. Which is why I almost think it would be like, you could pretty much imagine Rosemary going from no kids to like more than one at a time. Yeah. That would just be Rosemary. But yeah, I could see them like adopting and then finding out that they're.
Yeah. I mean, just speaking of that, I gotta go find it.
Y'all are watching the video. I'm sorry, I'm like moving around so much. My neck has started hurting for some reason, so I'm like trying to get my neck to fall.
I'm looking on Star Watch Byline's feed because they post spoilers. Shout out to y'all if you're listening.
Yeah, they're so sweet about like joining our lives and stuff when we do our Instagram lives. I know they released for episode 11.
Yes. I was trying to find the synopsis for that one.
I haven't even, I didn't really fully look at it, but I know people were saying that May apparently wasn't in episodes 10 or 11.
Yeah, I haven't seen May in photos of episode.
Okay, episode 11, Smoke on Water.
Okay, that's not the one. There's one that mentions something with Elizabeth and Rosemary. No, okay, so it's not that one. I don't know.
Elizabeth and Rosemary, it's episode 10, Never Say Never. Elizabeth and Rosemary disagree on the best way to share unsettling news with the town about the coal mines, but that's put behind them when Rosemary hears even more shocking news.
Yes. I wonder if that's when we get the scene with her and Rosemary hugging.
Maybe. And isn't one of Elizabeth's outfits, it seems like I've seen a couple of Elizabeth's outfits this season that are ones that she wore like when Jack was still alive. Like she has the kind of the suit dress, green suit dress with the
she wore that I think she wore that in season 7. I know. What either season 6, 7, or 8.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's the same blouse that she wore. Whatever episode it was, I'm drawing a blank on the actual episode, but if it's not the same one, it's very similar to the episode where they did like the fair or something. When Jack like pulls her off the street and pins her up against the wall and kisses her.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
I cannot for the life of me think of that would have been season 4 probably.
Yeah, that was season 4. Because that was when that was the episode when he and Frank and where was it, Bill? They did the thing with the gang, or like trying to catch the gang, and there was a stagecoach and one of them almost got shot. And that when Jack got back, he said something like, told you I'd be back by nightfall or something. I don't think it's the same suit, but I think the skirt was green, I think. I mean, it could be the same skirt, but she just doesn't wear the jacket. I would have to
Yeah, I'm not like a quick Google search. Sorry, y'all are like getting us over here Google searching and whatever. Y'all know our I don't think that is the same blouse. It's like the same color, but
yeah,
I don't think it's the same.
Yeah, she wore a white blouse in that scene.
I'll text you the GIF, however you pronounce it, that I have found from that scene, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But y'all know we're random on here. Y'all are used to this by now.
We're getting to like theories now.
Wardrobe theories, but
yeah, it's okay. No, so the skirt is not green. The skirt was yellow.
Yeah,
and the blouse was blue.
Yeah, the blouse, I guess, being the same color. It just looks like an outfit I have seen her wear in a previous season.
I think she has worn that top.
Yeah,
she has worn that top since season 5.
Okay, where I'm getting this from is a friend of mine a few years ago made an Elizabeth doll, and it had like that kind of top and skirt to it. So that's where I'm like, this has got to be an outfit she's worn before, and I don't know, maybe it's just like so similar in certain ways or something. I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, I think, like I said at the beginning of this episode, I think episode 5 has been our favorite so far out of this season.
Yeah. I would give this one 5 out of 5 hearts.
Yeah, definitely. This one's been good. Well, thank you again, Nicole, for helping out. And
this was a lot of fun.
And we will be back soon with a recap of episode 6 and 7 and God, we're so behind.
8 and 9 and 10.
I was thinking today, okay, yeah, we still need to recap the last 2 Wedding Veil movies, which I don't think the second one really had anybody in it from When Calls the Heart, but obviously Lacey's character is married to Kevin's character. We just don't see him in that movie. And then obviously third movie Kevin is in a little bit, but then so we still need to recap those 2. We need to recap the seasons or episodes 6 and 7 still, and then of course the rest of them of When Calls the Heart. And then Need to recap the Curious Caterer.
Yeah.
Like obviously this will be coming out next week, like so after some of this stuff has aired. But Chris McNally has another movie coming out this weekend.
Tonight.
Okay, I need to make sure I've got that. I don't even think I've got that set to DVR. So like guys, we're so behind. I'm like freaking out a little bit over here. Oh man. But anyway. All right guys, thanks for listening. We love y'all, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to get on some kind of regular schedule. It seems like if it's not something going on with Morgan, it's something going on with me right now. It's with her. So y'all just continue to keep us all in your prayers, because Lord knows we need them. Oh word. But anyway, we love you guys, and we'll be back soon. Bye.
Bye, Hernies. We love you.